Miss those brick and mortar toy stores where you would see Star Wars, Marvel, DC, Star Trek, and wrestling action figures? Then head on over to Ye Olde House of Toys. Check them out at 7699 Taft Street, Maryville, Indiana. Follow them on Facebook for their latest deals.
Greetings and salutations, true believers. Welcome to another great episode of Time Out with T-Rex. I am your host, Tim T-Rex Saldana. We've got a good show lined up for you today. Well, let me just break it down for you right here, right now. First and foremost, we will be having a special on-location segment at Ye Olde House of Toys. That's right, we are on location. We will be at Ye Olde House of Toys with our good sponsor, Tim Perry. With him, we will be discussing all things wrestling action figures this time. And we will be joined by executive producer of this show, Eric Bevell. He will be joining us to talk with Mr. Tim Perry about all things wrestling action figure related. Then after that, we're going to have a special treat, as I've said to you many times at the last show anyway, many times, but in the last show, we are heading into convention season, which means that, whatever Comic-Con or Fan Expo, whatever shows coming your way, your town, let's get in full swing of things. So this week we are going to feature a replay of an old interview of mine with Townsend Coleman. He's a voice actor who has voiced various characters over the years. Most connected to us would be he was the original voice actor for Michelangelo of the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1987. It was a great interview I did with him a few years back. I'm going to replay that just again to get you guys in the whim of convention season. Not only that, but as I said, I'm looking forward to Fan Expo Chicago this year, and this is kind of hyping me up too. So, and for those who have not gotten a chance to see that interview, this will be a great opportunity for you guys to see that as well, and it is a phone interview. So if the audio sounds a little funky, that's because it was a phone interview. Alright, and following that, yours truly has got a story lined up about the future of the DC universe with James Gunn and Peter Safran, and a big giant question mark after what has shaken out this past weekend. Nothing very promising, and a story that's going to reverberate throughout the entire DC fan base. That being said, that'll be at the back end of the show. So, let's just dive right on into this and get started. Switching over to Netflix. We're looking at our top 10 here. Number 10, Make Me Believe, a next Netflix original. Number 9, The Boss Baby. Number 8, 47 Ronin. Number 7, Accepted. Number 6, Through My Window Across the Sea, a Netflix original. Number 5, Extraction, another Netflix original. Number 4, Take Care of Maya, Netflix original. Number 3, The Mule. Number 2, The Perfect Find, a Netflix original. And of course, number 1 for Netflix, Extraction 2, a Netflix original. Do you sense a pattern there? I certainly do. Alright, jumping over to Hulu. Let me break that down for you right here. Alright, number 10, we've got Shrek 2. Number 9, Grown Ups. Number 8, Shrek, the original movie. Number 7, Twilight, the original, the first film. Number 6, The Apology. Number 5 is, I might be mispronouncing this, forgive me if I do, but The Chevalier? It's a Hulu original. Number 4, Spider-Man No Way Home. Number 3, Maybe I Do. Number 2, Avatar The Way of Water. And coming in at number 1 for Hulu is Flamin' Hot. That is a Hulu original. Let's go over to our friends at Amazon Prime and let's break that down for you real quick. All right, coming in at number 10, Crazy Rich Asians. Number 9, Hot Pursuit. Number 8, Sully. Number 7, Armageddon Time. Number 6, Jurassic World Dominion. Just got done rewatching that today, by the way. Number 5, Air. Number 4, Titanic. Number 3, Top Gun Maverick. Number 2, this is an Amazon Prime original. I might be mispronouncing this. Culpa Mia. And coming in at number 1, Creed 3. That is what's dominating Amazon Prime. Let's switch over to our friends at Disney Plus. Alright, Disney Plus, top 10. Frozen 2. Number 9 is The Little Mermaid, the original animated film. Number 8, Frozen. Number 7, Luca. Number 6, Zootopia. Number 5, Cars. Number 4, Toy Story, the first film. Number 3, Encanto. Number 2, Moana. Coming in at number 1 for Disney Plus, Avatar, The Way of Water. Now I'm going to add a couple of extra ones here. Let's go to Paramount Plus. For those who have Paramount Plus, number 10, Dog. Number 9, Mission Impossible Fallout. Number 8, Dungeons & Dragons Honor Among Thieves. Number 7, The Lost City. Number 6, Blacklight. Number 5, 80 for Brady. Number 4, Wrath of Man. Number 3, a Paramount Plus original, Jerry and Marge Go Large. Number 2, Devotion. And number 1 for Paramount Plus, Top Gun Maverick. And for those who have Apple TV, here's your top choices. Number 10, The Morning Show, Apple Original. Number 9, Foundation, Apple Original. Number 8, High Desert, Apple Original. Number 7, The Last Thing He Told Me, Apple Original. These are all Apple Originals. I'm going to stop saying it. It's getting old. Number 6, Shrinking. Number 5, Swagger. Number 4, Platonic. Number 3, The Crowded Room. Number 2, Silo. And number 1, Ted Lasso. Those are all Apple TV originals. Now, for those of you who have journeyed over to the movie theaters, there's a lot to choose from this weekend, and it is just the beginning of summer. Coming in at number 10, The Boogeyman. Number 9, The Blackening. Number 8, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Number 7, The Little Mermaid. That is the live-action version. Number 6, Asteroid City. Number 5, Transformers Rise of the Beasts. Number 4, No Hard Feelings. Number 3, The Flash movie. Number 2, Elemental. And coming in at number 1, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. So those of you who have ventured out to the movie theater, those are your top picks for movies. So if you do plan on going to the movie theater, those are your top picks. I encourage you guys to definitely check them out. It is a fun time for movies. And of course, Indiana Jones, The Dial of Destiny comes out June 30th, which will be Friday. That's obviously going to probably knock a few of those top 10 around, or top 5 I should say. So that can very well change. So I'm looking forward to today's show. I hope you are too. We got a great lineup again. So guys, that being said, let's get this party started. Don't go anywhere. More when we come back.
The new Batman Superman Adventures will return in a moment on Kids WB.
What is it, honey?
It's that darn ghost again. He just won't leave us alone. I guess we're just going to have to move.
No, wait. Don't worry. We're not moving. He is.
Who are you going to call?
Ghostbusters! Yes, that's right. Ghostbusters. We're back with twice the know-how and twice the particle power to deal with all your supernatural elimination needs.
Look out, Winston. He's a mean one.
Nothing we can't handle, Egon. So come, celebrate our grand reopening with our special half-price service plan.
What? Hold on. Half price? Have we all gone mad? I guess so, Pete, because that's not all. Tell them, Egon.
Oh, you mean the Ghostbusters hot beverage thermal mug and free balloons for the kids?
You bet. So make your supernatural problem our supernatural problem.
Call now, because we're still
ready to believe you!
Guys in disguise, Beast War, X-level, Transmetal.
Metallic machines 3 times as mean. New Transmetal Optimus Primal steels for battle, changing to rocket-powered hoverboard.
Maximize!
To full-on BattleBot with mace cannon. New Transmetal Megatron with 3 Transmetal modes. From titanium T-Rex to turbine-powered hovercraft.
Terrorize!
Changing again to beastly robot warrior. Up against one ape that doesn't monkey around. They're strong as steel, they're cool as crow. New electronic Optimal Optimus. The biggest Transmetal ever. Blazing beast mode to tank assault to air attack to plasma cannon robot. 4 modes of disguise, 1 massive size.
Beast Wars, Transmetals.
Ghostbusters! Look, Sonic, we're cool. We got ghost zap. Let's find those ghosts.
Batteries not included.
Yeah! I'm no ghost, but he is. I'll project one too. Over here. We're being watched. Fire ghost zappers. Turn to high frequency. We ain't afraid of no ghosts!
Ghost Zapper Ghost Projector Guns, each sold separately. Ghostbusters from Kenner.
And now we return to Superman on Kids WB.
Hey guys, welcome back from that commercial break. Glad you're with us. We are on location for this part of the show. We are featuring our good sponsor and friend, Mr. Tim Perry. He is here. We are here at Yield House of Toys. And not just him, but our executive producer as well, Eric Bevell, is here. And the reason I'm sure you guys are wondering what that's all about, well, I'll tell you. We're talking all things professional wrestling. Tim's got a wide variety of selection of figures, some classic stuff, some elite stuff, some average stuff too, for those who don't really have a preference either way. So with that said, we're going to go dive into our first executive producer, Eric. He's picked out a few items. He's going to highlight those and why they're his favorite, what's cool about them. I've got a few myself, and then Tim as well. And then we're just going to talk about the industry of professional wrestling toys and how that's come about and where we're at currently with it right now. So Eric, I'm going to slide over, give you some room to highlight your stuff. Tell us what figures he's got that work for you.
All right, well, when we first walked into the building here, the first thing that caught my eye was one of the basics, which are nice. They're the kind of toys I could buy for my daughter, let her open them, and I don't feel too bad about letting her play with them because they are just your basic figure in a box. No accessories. Everything's painted on, so there's no clothes that can get lost, no headbands that are going to fall off. And the reason I like this one in particular, it's one of my all-time favorites, the Macho Man Randy Savage. Oh yeah, the cream always rises to the top.
Got a cough?
That hurt a little bit.
I bet it hurt.
But you can see the price point on these. They're very affordable. And it's a great way if you're just starting out, if you want to start your own collection, these are a great way to start. Now, when you become a little more of a hardcore collector like myself and the Tims, you might want to step up to the Elite Collection. Now you can see this is a Series 92. There's a ton of series out there.
I think they're over 100 now.
Over 100 series. But you see, these are a little more expensive because they come with accessories. He's got a WCW microphone. He's got the classic Four Horsemen shirt. He comes with extra hands, so you can actually, if you wanted to take these out of the package and showcase them in a case, you're able to pose them in different poses. Maybe that you would, a memorable pose from a Monday Nitro that you saw Ric Flair doing, you're able to actually pose them in that. Or if you're like myself and can't bring yourself to take them out of the package, you just throw them up just like this. Of course, you know, Ric Flair is one of the all-time greats, along with Macho Man Randy Savage, and Tim, I really like this one.
And it takes you back to the Monday Night Wars. You know, you don't see too many Ric Flairs with the short hair. Maybe some of the more modern one where he's a little older, but when you think Ric Flair, you think the golden locks down to the shoulders.
Right, the old NWA days. And the other one I'd like to showcase today, this is the Ultimate Edition figure. Now this is top of the line. The price point's a little higher, but look at all the stuff it comes with. You actually get another head, you get the Fiend's vest, you get different hands. It even looks like he's got, that might be a build-your-own figure. Sometimes these things come with a build-your-own figure, and they come with pieces of a figure that you can build of another character. Of course, the Fiend character is dead. Rumors are they may be bringing him back. But the Fiend was one of my favorite recent characters that they've came up with in current WWE times. On the back of this, you see they got pictures of the figure and pictures of the Fiend. They've got some fun facts about him on the back. And again, you can do the same thing with these. You can pull them out of the case. You could display them in your own display case, or you could keep them in the package like I do, put them up just like this. That's just the way I like to do it. But Tim has got a really great selection behind this. Really stuff from every era of wrestling. There's even some loose figures in here if maybe you're missing one for your collection. Just a mecca of great wrestling figures. And I know Tim had one he would like to showcase for you guys.
Yes, sir. Now for mine, I picked out, it actually works as double collectibles. It's both a wrestling figure and a horror sci-fi movie figure. And it's the Roddy Piper They Live. Now if you don't quite remember it, there's a movie where Roddy Piper finds some special sunglasses, he puts them on and he sees the world how it really is, aliens taking over everything, consume, consume, consume. And this was a line they did a few years ago. They had I want to say like 5 or 6 other wrestlers that they had picked that had been in movies, so they gave them their movie outfit. Under the Rock had one and a couple other guys.
And that's the Hollywood line, right?
This is the Hollywood, yeah. Hollywood, Elite. Yeah, John Cena had a figure, Rock had a figure, I think there was a few more, but it's really cool. It comes with his outfit, he's got his sunglasses, he's posed like he's holding them. And like you say, it's one that works in the box, because it's actually posed,
right.
Or you can take it out of the box, do whatever you want with it. Some of them do look nice in the box, so I think that this one might have to stay in there. But
I gotta agree with Tim, that's a great figure right there. They Live, classic John Carpenter movie.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen it so many times I can't even count now. But yeah, that's a great figure.
Yep. Now they just need a Keith David figure for the fight. I think they'd have a nice set.
Give him a slide suplex over some sunglasses.
Now if they're gonna make like 5 Mr. T figures, which I had one, but oh, there he is. If they're gonna make 5 of Mr. T, they might as well make Keith David. Like,
if they don't make Keith David, I pity the fool.
That's right.
All right. Other Tim, I'm gonna let you step in here.
All right.
I'll let you showcase your selections.
Cool.
Slide out the way.
All right, so I'm kind of breaking the mold, so to speak, because this isn't actually an official wrestling figure, but it is a wrestling legend. It is the Sergeant Slaughter of the G.I. Joe. This is actually G.I. Joe Classified series. But this was probably one of the most earliest, I'm going to mention its early crossovers between wrestling and a cartoon, which was G.I. Joe, in which Sergeant Slaughter was an active wrestler at the time, and this was one of the first crossover series that they did with wrestling and a cartoon. And of course it's Sergeant Slaughter, classic, both hero and heel during his time there, but obviously not a key wrestling figure that we're talking about today compared to what's behind me. What's interesting though is that I've noticed that these have been coming out quite a bit lately. It is the Masters of the Universe toy line. This is something that's only recently shown up, I'd say, within the last few years or so. And it's a classic He-Man style of figure. I mean, everything about it. I mean, it screams He-Man, but it's with a WWE twist. On the back, you've got Goldberg as a figure. You've got the Ultimate Warrior. Even Stephanie McMahon has her own He-Man version of the Masters of the Universe of WWE. I didn't really think that this was one particular line of toy that was all that popular, but apparently it's here. Let me do a compare and contrast a little bit. Here's a regular He-Man style, and here's your WWE version, which is pretty much neck and neck, same body style and body build type. So it's a unique style. It's something that WWE hadn't really dived into, but was doing a little bit more cross promotion with a little bit. And of course, let's see, what else did I notice behind me? Oh, yes, one other classic Ultimate Warrior. I knew it was behind me somewhere. And what's cool with this one is actually it comes with Ravishing Rick Rude as a Build-A-Figure. This is a particular, this does not include a title run with the Warrior, but it was known for his, I believe, yeah, he was the current Intercontinental Champion at the time in this particular outfit. This is also part of the Elite collection during the Survivor Series line, it looks like. True FX lifelike details. The Build-A-Figures from '97 with Rick Rude. So for those who are big Ultimate Warrior fans, this is a nice addition. There's multiple versions of the Ultimate Warrior out there that you guys can easily find that floats your boat. There's a good variety of everything, I'm telling you. Let me grab one of these. I have to plug this real quick. Got to keep the water balanced, so to speak, even though Eric may not like it. But yeah, I know. AEW has also come on the scene as well. And AEW, very much the style is similar, very much to the Elite line. It's very detailed. This is, of course, Jack Hager, who hails from. Where's it say? Oh, this is his debut from Revolution when it was in Chicago. And again, it's a great style of figure. It's got multiple hand poses, much like the WWE line. There's a good variety of options here. Eric's favorite, Chris Jericho's got in here. MJF, of course, Ray Phoenix, and Penta, along with some others. They keep adding to this.
Did he say Phoenix?
Yeah, Ray Phoenix.
Is that how it's pronounced?
That's how I've heard it pronounced.
It probably is.
I always thought it was Phoenix, but I haven't had a chance to watch.
I guess it could go either way.
I haven't watched much AEW.
So, nonetheless, bottom line though is that we've got a lot of cool variety of options here, whether you're an AEW fan, WWE fan. The most interesting part about it is that they're expanding the toy line market so that there's a wide variety of options for everybody. If you're into the He-Man style of figure, there's a toy line for that. If you want like key moments in certain superstars' histories, like the Macho Man, or a classic feud like this one up here, Ultimate Rival with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat and Chris Jericho, it was one of those what-if confrontations, if that were to have ever happened. You've got those kind. You've got Hulk Hogan, constant different Hulk Hogan style figures from different points, NWO version. I mean, they're coming out with just figures from every genre as far as WWE is concerned. I want Eric to slide in here for a minute, and then we'll bring Tim in. I want to do a comparative contrast with Eric for a minute. Because when Eric and I were growing up, our main wrestling, we did not have this as an option for us. We had the Jack Specifics,
right,
which were about this tall. The hands were not interchangeable. Outfits were decent.
But the legs were in whatever position they had them in,
that was it.
And they only bent at the joint up here.
They might twist at the waist.
Yeah, they twisted at the waist, but your arms were static too. They were like usually in a fighting position, and you either had to go like you had them like this, or you had them up and ready to go. So.
And on the flip side of that, in WCW's early days, so we had Jack Specific. I'm not sure who WCW had theirs distributed by, but theirs were pretty much frozen in position. I remember having a Sid Justice that had his arms up like this, no movement from the arms or the legs. He was just in a constant pose like this. Solid plastic, so if you chucked it at somebody, it definitely hurt.
It's actually right above your head.
Does he have one? Oh yeah, there's one of them up there.
Oh, I think Galoob made them.
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, that's probably it.
That sounds right. I've got a Bret Hart. Well, it was a later edition, where they start. It was like a precursor for what you see here, but it was a WCW NWO Bret Hart.
There you go.
Still in packaging, because
mint condition. So, Eric, as we do a comparative of what we had to versus what we see with these options today, what are your thoughts seeing the longevity of these figures going from what we had to what we see now?
Yeah, well, the ones that we had, they took a beating.
Yeah.
These also take a beating. We go to garage sales all summer long, and I see the kids have played with for years, and they do get the scuff marks on them. They get a little dirty, but you can take these things home, a little bit of some Dawn dish soap, a soft bristle toothbrush, and you can clean these things back up, put them right on your shelf. So these things, even $24, $12, they range in price. But if you're a serious wrestling collector like myself, you can't be beat. Can't be beat. And I got to tell you here, Tim has got very good pricing on these figures. Probably the best in Northwest Indiana, if you ask me.
Mm-hmm. And they're all in decent shape. There's no damages to the boxes. They're really pristine condition. Let me talk to Tim for a second. Eric, slide out, switch spots with him. Now, you and Eric have attended several Backbreaker shows. At the time, it's been a real struggle for me to be able to attend because of my schedule. But you two guys have been there for different shows throughout the year. what is cool about going to a backbreaker event with these figures? I mean, obviously wrestling goes hand in hand, but going to a particular backbreaker show.
They just put on a great show. You know, there's definitely something different about seeing a show in person instead of watching it on TV. In person, it doesn't matter if you're in the back row. Every seat feels like the front row. You know, every time somebody hits the mat, you feel it. You're jumping up in the air, you're clapping, you're having a good time. And you're spending, you know, $10 for adults. Let's see, what's that, like $7 for kids, compared to you go to WWE in Chicago, and you know, just for parking, gas, your food. You know, you're already in a couple $100 range. That's not even counting your tickets, and you're in nosebleed section there. So, you know, it's definitely worth it if you are a wrestling fan. You want to check out your local guys. Check out Backbreaker Wrestling.
The one thing I've been teasing Tim once in a while about is that he has a great line of figures, as we mentioned, but what I would love to see him be able to have is some of them championship belts to bring in here. Those are always a huge fan collectible thing, whether they're the big replicas or even the kid versions, you know, that go around kids' waists. Those are real popular. So I'm always teasing Tim that he needs to draw some belts with him when he goes to an event, just to add a little extra cash to his pocket. I'm all for that. So. But yes, I'm glad that you have a good time at Backbreaker. Backbreaker, of course, is a great event. They always put on decent shows no matter where they are. As we move forward, Tim, we're going to be moving into what will be August very soon, or July very soon. I'm already jumping to August. July.
It's going
by
quick.
We got to focus on what we're going to talk about July. We covered wrestling with Eric. Glad that he was able to join us today. So we got to focus on what's going to be coming our way as far as July is concerned. Maybe we need to highlight maybe some very patriotic heroes like Captain America, maybe a Superman, some of the most patriotic heroes of the DC or comic book worlds, to see maybe if that's something that we could plug, or if something else in particular comes to mind.
Well, you got to go with the holiday, right? So.
Well, it's a holiday theme. It wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't hurt.
We'll have to figure it out. Like Superman is the easy one. Captain America is the easy one. You know, who else falls into that category? Are we just going for patriotic heroes, or do we find like firework-based, you know, heroes like Jubilee? Will that work with the July 4th? So.
I'm going with Optimus Prime. It has nothing to do with anything. But
He does have red and blue on there, and I think some white. So
go check out Transformers, by the way. It's in theaters. Anyway, so with that said, guys, special thanks goes to Tim, Eric Bevell, our executive producer, for joining us for this particular special on-location segment here at Yield House of Toys. Tim, let people know where we are, and more importantly, how can they follow you?
we are at 7699 Taft Street, Maryville, Indiana. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Yield House of Toys.
Guys, he's always putting out great deals, pictures of everything that he plans on, new stuff that comes into the shop, or special deals that he's doing. Get on Facebook and follow him. He'll take care of you, no problem. So with that said, guys, we're going to take a quick time out. When we come back, more to the show, so don't go anywhere.
The Transformers will return after these messages.
I'm in the driver's seat, Spider-Man. Smite's in his battle chip. Remember, always wear your seatbelt. Too much for you? Spider-Man's no match for my Spider Slayer. No thanks, I already showered today. I'll bet the guys really flip over you. Excuse me while I get myself out of a pinch.
Web-shooting Spider-Man figures and vehicles sold separately.
X-Men, the evil mutants, plan their attack. As Juggernaut harnesses his battering ram, Magneto reveals his magnetic force.
Lead the attack, Juggernaut.
But waiting are the X-Men.
Evil mutants?
Wolverine flashes claws of steel, while Cyclops turns on laser power.
This city has a speed limit.
And the giant Apocalypse is power-lifted by the mighty Colossus.
Lost again, Magneto.
X-Men and Evil Mutants, each sold separately from Toy Biz.
Beast Wars. New giant Megatron. New giant Tigerhawk. Triple the might. Triple the terror. Without change, there is no victory. New Megatron and new Tigerhawk, each sold separately.
We now return to the Transformers.
Hey guys, welcome back from that commercial break. As promised, I have with us today Townsend Coleman. Now, a lot of you guys are probably scratching your head saying, that sounds familiar, I'm not sure who that might be. But you know what? You probably realize it once you start looking at some of his arsenal of voices that he does. And one in particular stands out, which should jog most of your guys' memory, which is Michelangelo from the original Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from way back in 1980s and early 90s. Exactly.
Whoa! Cowabunga, dude!
Exactly. That would be Mr. Townsend Coleman joining us today. Townsend, I appreciate you giving us a call and talking with us today.
My pleasure, buddy.
Cool. I met Townsend and actually Rob Paulson not last year, the year before, I believe, at a Comic-Con. It was a Turtle reunion, so to speak. He was there with his other pals, and I got to meet Townsend.
Right.
And it was a real cool experience. Got a nice, cool autograph from him and the other Turtles. It's hanging. I hang it proudly on my wall, and in fact, I think it's one of my son's favorite autographs because he's always looking up and going, "Turtles, turtles!" So, real cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he's really getting into the Turtle scene now. He's 2 years old, but he's definitely a devout Turtle fan. So I'm looking forward to having him become a big one like I was. Growing up.
All right. Well, it sounds like you're raising him right, buddy.
That's what Rob told me too. I love it. Growing up, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, I mean, it was awesome. I loved the show. It had a huge impact on me growing up. And needless to say, Michelangelo was definitely one of the characters that I identified with because I was a jokester when I was younger, a clown, so to speak, so
right.
My parents tell me. And it was cool because I liked the way that Michelangelo's humor was. It's in goofing around. That's kind of how my personality was back when I was a kid. Still is today. My wife will tell you that for sure. So, but Townsend, give us a little backstory about yourself, how you got started, and where you been, and what you've been up to since then.
Oh well, goodness, man! I don't want to make this backstory too long. I'll just give you an abbreviated version. I was my folks. I'm going to go all the way back to the very beginning. My folks met when they were working at NBC at 30 Rock in New York.
Ooh.
And yeah, my dad wanted to be a network announcer for the network, but he was the manager of guest relations, which meant that he was in charge of all the tours and the pages and those things. But he moved us to Denver in the mid-'50s, and that's when he got on the radio. And I really think that was sort of the genesis, the beginning of my love of radio and broadcasting and voices and voice acting and all that stuff. And so I grew up just listening to a lot of radio dramas that my dad was into, a lot of comedy albums back then in 50s and 60s. And so I think when I got into high school or junior high, first started listening to radio and getting into, listening to the DJs and stuff.
Sure.
There was something that was really magical to me about voices and radio drama, something that was cooler to me than TV because you had to use your imagination a whole lot more. And so that's what spurred me into that when I went off to college, University of Colorado in Boulder in the early 70s. I was an architect major, actually, and ended up not pursuing that, but pursuing theater and radio and TV instead, and got my third-class FCC license back then, and ended up getting married in 1974 and broke into radio in Cleveland, Ohio in 1975, actually late 74, early 75, and was a DJ at 5 different radio stations in Cleveland over the next 10 years. And that's where I discovered voiceover. Now, concurrently with all that, I was also doing a lot of local theater. Mm-hmm. I was on stage acting in a lot of plays and musicals and such. And so just combining my love of theater and acting and my love of radio and voices, I discovered voice acting and doing freelance voiceover work in Cleveland not too long after I'd gotten on the radio there, and discovered that there were ad agencies in Cleveland that were, willing to hire me freelance to voice their commercials. And within just a couple of years, I was making more money a year doing that on the side than I was working 6 days a week at the radio stations. So
wow.
That was part of my decision to finally quit radio in 1984 and concentrate just on voiceovers and acting and TV in the local Cleveland market. When I got a phone call from our landlord that he was selling the house that we were living in. We'd been renting for about 5 years at that point, and we had to make a physical move. And I thought, well, doggone it, I've just turned 30, and I've just quit radio, and now I've got to make a physical move, pack up my family. My wife and I had 3 kids at the time, and so I thought, you know what, since I got to move anyway, I don't want to make a move across town. I want to make a move across country, either to New York or L.A. And so I went out to L.A. in '84, right after the Olympics, and just to look around and check it out, and had some friends who were living out here who encouraged me to move out here. And so I took the plunge, and by Labor Day of 1984, we had sold a whole bunch of stuff, sold a car, had a garage sale, and I had the movers come and pack us up and moved us out. And Labor Day of '84, we were living here in L.A. So that's kind of how all that happened. And then once I was here, it was a matter of, trying to land an agent, which I did. I got very, very fortunate and got my first agent, who is still my agent today, 36 years later. About 2 weeks after I moved. And so I was very lucky. They handled me for voiceovers and for on-camera commercials. And so I started doing a whole bunch of both. And about 6 months after I moved here, I got an audition through my agent for a cartoon series called Inspector Gadget.
Oh, yeah.
And I was familiar with the series because my kids used to watch it when we were still back in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd never really thought about doing cartoons. It kind of wasn't on my radar. But I thought, that'd be fun. So I went on this audition. And, doggone it, if I didn't book this thing, it was crazy. So I booked this part as a character named Corporal Cape Man on Inspector Gadget. He was Gadget's right-hand man, his little do-good assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in the last 10 episodes of the series. And I found myself in a little studio in Burbank working with Maurice LaMarche and Frank Welker and Don Adams. And just like scratching my head going, how in the world did I end up here? This is crazy. And so that was the launch of my animation career. And I had so much fun doing it, I just told my agents, please, send me out on more of this stuff. This is a riot. And so I ended up booking parts and booking shows and booking series, and that's how it started for me. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool, Townsend. That's why I asked you guys. I did the same thing for Rob, and I love hearing the backstory, how you guys got started, and the cool breaks that you would get, and it's. I mean, and I have a lot of listeners who are considering, voice acting careers or acting careers, period, and they like hearing these kind of stories about how you guys got started, knowing that, it could happen for them too. So that's why I always love you guys giving backdrop to that.
Well, thanks, brother. I appreciate that. Let me just say on that note that if there are folks listening to this and you're into acting or want to be a voice actor, there are all kinds of resources available to you. One of the best is D. Bradley Baker's website called iwanttobeavoiceactor.com. And he's got a lot of great free advice on there, so check that out. But listen, I'm a testament to the fact that if I can do it, anybody can do it, I feel like. But, not only do you have to have a modicum of talent, but you got to have some real fortitude, I believe, in order to stick with it, because it can be a discouraging process trying to break in if this is what you really want to do. But I say, A, go for it, and B, stick with it as long as you can until it either happens or you decide it's not for you. But yeah, it's been a great career for me. It's been a great business for me. It's been a great chance to meet and work with some of those most amazing human beings on the planet, witty, facile, kind, generous, amazingly talented people. Rob being right up at the top of that list. And, and so, listen, I am so eternally grateful and thankful for what I've been able to experience and what I've been able to do and the people I've been able to work with. So, yeah, if it's something you want to do, I say go for it. But there are all kinds of ways to try and crack into it these days, especially technologically. My goodness, used to be back in the day. If you wanted to do the kinds of things that I've done, you had to live here in L.A. or New York or Chicago.
Right.
Now, because of technology, you can pretty much live anywhere and do voiceover work, with the exception primarily of animation. If you really want to do animation, you kind of have to be here in Los Angeles, because the TV animation producers and directors still like to have the whole cast together in a studio as often as they can. Now, obviously, now with the pandemic, that's not been possible. But this is not going to last forever. We'll be back in the studios, and they'll be doing that again the way they like to do it. But aside from animation, I mean, if you want to get into commercial voiceover, promos, audiobooks, long-form narration, pretty much anything else, it kind of doesn't matter where you live, because you can connect now with studios and producers really, really easily. So there's that. So anyway, I didn't want to get off on a tangent there, but I do want to encourage anybody, if this is something that you've grown up with and it's a passion of yours and you just can't see yourself doing anything else, boy, there are so many resources available online now to you, and depending on where you live, actual resources available in your town in terms of voiceover workout groups, voiceover workshops, acting workshops, which I highly recommend. So go for it.
Very cool, Townsend. I mean, most notably for me, you playing the voice of Michelangelo. But I mean, all anyone has to do is pull your name up, and you can look at your television and your video games. And you voice so much stuff, man. It would take me a month or longer to go through it all. I mean, I looked at a little bit last night, knowing that I was going to speak with you today, and I'm just like, man, the stuff that you've covered in your career, man, and voices that I never even knew you did. I know you did a lot of DC stuff, and I didn't even know that. And I've seen these movies, and I'm like, he did that voice? I didn't know that. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just amazing the ground that you've covered in your time. One question I did want to ask.
I appreciate you saying that. Thanks.
Oh, no problem, man. One question I wanted to ask: when they first approached you to do Michelangelo, how did you come up with the California, kind of voice, if you will, the beach kind of going guy kind of voice? What was your inspiration for that? How did you channel what Michelangelo was going to be?
Well, back in those days, in the early 80s, I don't know if you recall, maybe you were too young to, but the Valley Girl thing was a thing and was big. And so it's like everybody was sort of doing that kind of surfer beach thing anyway, kind of as just a stereotype. And when Fast Times at Ridgemont High came out, Sean Penn was doing his Spicoli character, which was very much that, kind of a valley boy, if you will, kind of a burnt-out surfer dude sort of thing. When they asked us to audition for Ninja Turtles, and we all who were auditioning, I think all the guys who were auditioning for it auditioned for all 4 Turtles. I know that I did, and perhaps Barry Gordon, who was Donatello, didn't audition for all of them, but I know Rob and Cam did, and any number of other voice actors that I knew back then who were in auditioning for it read for all 4 Turtles. And when you audition for something, they hand you a sheet of paper. They're called sides, and it's got a bit of script on there that you're going to read for the audition. But it also generally has a picture of the character. So it had a picture of the Turtles on there, and of each of them. and then a description of what that turtle's characteristics are. And when it came to Michelangelo, it said he was a happy-go-lucky surfer dude, and loved pizza. Some descriptions about him, but it did reference Sean Penn in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Said sort of that kind of voice.
Okay.
So when they asked for that, it was just a matter of going, okay, so what did Sean Penn sound like? And oh yeah, it's sort of that Valley girl, kind of thing, Valley boy, if you will. And it was sort of and so what I did was I sort of did my well, pizza, are you kidding? I love pizza, and it was just, he was just always smiling and was happy-go-lucky and, kind of not burnt out drug-wise, but, just like really easygoing and it was a surfer dude, so that's how I auditioned for it. And I got lucky, and they liked that, and they cast me. The process itself is fairly straightforward and simple, So it's just beyond that. Then it's a matter of luck and it being a crapshoot, I think.
Sure, I understand that. Very cool. I tell you, I'm sure you guys back then thought, this would be a little cartoon series that probably, go for a few seasons and, be one of the, put it on the shelf. Nobody will probably remember in 30 years. But man, I'm telling you, your guys, you were the launching pad. I mean, with the Turtles back then, you guys paved the way for all these future shows to come in, and the Turtles' longevity all these years later. I mean, nobody can think of the Turtles without thinking of that original show. And you guys bringing these characters to life, and that's why I love talking to the voice actors. You guys, without you guys, nobody really knows what Michelangelo or Raphael or any of these guys really would have sounded like. I mean, you look at a comic book page and you see them talking, but you don't really hear their voices. But then you watch the TV show and you hear Mikey talk, and you're like, oh, dude, that's Mikey's voice, man. I can read this book now, and there he is. So you guys really have a knack for bringing these characters to life and making them memorable.
Well, thanks, man. Yeah, that listen, that right there is one of the really rewarding parts of this business, of this job, is being able to be the one or one of the ones who helps bring these characters to life. When they start out like as comic books, like Ninja Turtles did, or I did another show called The Tick, started out as a comic. And what's really wonderful about comics is that when you read them, if there is no cartoon associated with it, you can create the voice in your own mind, in your own head, about what you think these characters sound like. And I'm sure that there was probably a legion of Ninja Turtles comics fans who did just that before the cartoon series came out. So I think it must be always interesting for somebody who's a fan of a comic book before a cartoon comes out, and they, in their head, have created their own voices of what these characters sound like. And then when the cartoon comes out, if the cartoon doesn't sound like what they've created in their head, I suppose that could be a real disappointment for some fans. But for other comic book readers, it could perhaps be a revelation or a help, and so I think that's a really cool thing. It's certainly when I think back on that and the comment you just made about how, the four of us created the sounds of these characters that already existed, but the sounds didn't, that being able to be the first one to do that for Michelangelo is like a super honor. It's exciting. It's cool. It's totally bodacious, dude, to be like the guy who did that.
Exactly.
So it's been a blast.
Townsend, and the thing is with guys like you, and like I said, not just to piggyback a little bit here, for me, like for example, when I pick up a Batman comic book these days and I'm reading it to my kid, I hear Kevin Conroy's voice in my head because he's been Batman for so many years, and he's been my Batman. I grew up with him, and I feel the same every time and like I said, I'm getting my kid into the Ninja Turtles now, and as soon as I read Mikey's part,
I'm like channeling your voice in my head. So I try to do the voice to my kids. So and he smiles, and all that because I'm trying. I'm not as good as you, but I try. And he just gets a thrill out of it.
That's all right. That's very cool. Yeah. Yeah, right. Yeah, you were mentioning Batman and Kevin Conroy, and of course, if you're, reading a comic and you see the Joker, you can't hear anybody else but Mark Hamill.
That's correct.
He is the Joker. Kevin is the Batman, and you will never have. You might have other voices somewhere out there in the universe, but they won't hold a candle to the original guys. They're the real deal. And so I get it, yeah, and it's just fun. It's like I said, it's cool, and it's an honor to have been a part of that process.
Very cool, Townsend. And again, Turtles isn't the only thing that you're most notable for. I mean, like I said, you've got a career that's been active nonstop. Your most recent stuff you mentioned was the Tick resurgence. They just brought that back in, I think it was 2017 on Amazon Prime, correct?
Couple of years ago, yeah, right. It was their second stab at a live-action version of the Tick. Patrick Warburton had done the original live-action version back in the mid-'90s, mid to late '90s, and Ben Edlund, the creator of the Tick, brought another live-action version of it back to Amazon Prime a couple of years ago. Yeah, it lasted 2 seasons. Unfortunately, it's been canceled now, and I had the not only the honor and the privilege of voicing the original, voicing the character of the Tick in the original animated series in '94, '95, but Ben kindly invited me to be a part of the Amazon Prime series as well, voicing it was a black German Shepherd named Midnight, a talking dog. But it was a talking live-action dog, which was a bit of a trip. So that was fun, and again, an honor. I just feel really, really blessed, really lucky to be a part of all these projects and just this business overall.
Well, moving forward, Townsend, I know that, like you mentioned earlier, the pandemic has been a bit of a pain in the butt all around for everybody, and I know it's been a major challenge for you guys who do the voice acting work. I mean, you guys have managed to come up with some ways of still managing to pull it off, which I'm thankful for that, because we need guys like you, providing voices for cartoons to kind of keep our spirits up in these times. But what kind of projects do you currently have on your plate that you are working on?
Well, listen, you say the pandemic has been a bit of a pain. It's probably been more than a bit of a pain.
True.
For most people. I mean, it's been disastrous for many.
Sure.
I've been one of the lucky ones to have been able to continue my work because I work from home anyway. I do all my recording from home and my announcing from home. One of the areas of my career that kind of took off for me back in 1993 was promo announcing, and I just sort of fell into that as in an audition that I did for NBC for a campaign that they were starting called Must See TV.
Yes, I remember.
And they liked what I did for that, and they kept me around for 16 years as the comedy voice of NBC for that whole Must See TV campaign. So from '93 to 2009. I voiced all their comedy promos and all their late night promos for Jay Leno for The Tonight Show for 16 years. Did promos for Saturday Night Live and for Conan O'Brien and all that stuff. And so that launched me into promo, which is what I still currently do every day. I'm not at NBC any longer. Once they let me go, then I landed over at ABC for about 5.5 years doing the same thing. And then did stuff over at Fox, same thing after that for a couple of years. And now my current daily gig is I voice the promos for Live with Kelly and Ryan on ABC every morning. And so I've been one of the lucky ones to be able to continue working doing my promo work from home. So yeah, I haven't done any animation since then. But honestly, Tim, I haven't done any animation really The last regular series that I did was called Mighty Magiswords on Cartoon Net.
I remember.
And and so after that, I haven't done really any animation work. I audition for it occasionally, but haven't really booked anything in the last couple of years. So really, my work now has distilled down to just promo work, which I love, and doing some occasional. During this pandemic, Fox Sports has actually used me a few times to do some over-the-top, like game show announcers and that sort of thing for some of the silly projects they've had on Fox NFL Sunday, and they had a sports trivia show going for about 3 months with Chris Myers as the host. That I did the announcing on that as like an over-the-top 70s game show announcer and stuff. So I get some silly projects like that from time to time. Did something interesting last year for a Quentin Tarantino film.
Really?
Yeah, the last one, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I had a small part in that, not on camera, but as a voiceover, recreating the voiceover intro to the FBI. And so that was a trip, auditioning for and getting that gig was great fun. So, so I do, a smattering of little things like that out there. But my regular daily work is announcing the promos for Live with Kelly and Ryan, Kelly Ripa and Ryan Seacrest.
Very cool.
Every day.
Very awesome. Townsend, as I start to wind down the interview here, I have to tell you, I talked to a few of my buddies who knew I was going to be talking with you, and we all were kicking around the idea. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but within the last year, SpongeBob's voice actors actually performed as the live-action version of their characters. I think it was for SpongeBob's birthday, if I believe it was the show.
You're talking about Tom Kenny.
Yes, and they actually played their live-action counterparts, although they didn't call them that. I think the live-action was Jim Bob instead of SpongeBob or something. But anyway, point I'm getting at is that I thought we were talking with me and my buddies. It would be kind of cool to see you and Cam and all them guys reprise your roles as the Turtles, but maybe just hanging out at like a pizza parlor or something, but doing the voices.
Yeah, it sounds fun. Prior to this pandemic, we were doing a lot of Comic-Con appearances. So I feel like we have already done that any number of times when we do these panels at Comic-Cons. We all end up doing our characters for the crowds, and they eat it up. They dig it.
It's very cool. It's real cool to see the voice actors. Sometimes, you guys, you're behind a microphone putting these voices together, but then you get rare opportunities. Right. And I think even Kevin Conroy was able to reprise the role of Batman. I think I think it was on Supergirl or something for Crisis on Infinite Earths. He got to play Bruce Wayne, the first live action time he's ever done that. So. It's kind of cool, I think.
Well, that was a very cool thing. That's a little different because, there he was actually on camera playing a character, and those sorts of little Easter eggs I think are fascinating. I think fans eat that stuff up.
Oh yeah.
And I had proposed to I think it was Kevin Eastman, one of the two creators of Ninja Turtles, a number of years ago when they were, picking out more and more of the Ninja Turtle films, the possibility of having the four of us, me and Cam and Rob and Barry, be on camera in the movie, but as a doo-wop, a street corner doo-wop group or something, having nothing to do with the characters or anything like that, but just as a little Easter egg in the film, to people watching the film who don't know what we look like and didn't know us, it would be just a group of four guys, singing a little street corner, riff. But for those people who are fans and do know what we look like and then see us in a Ninja Turtle film doing a little thing like that, that's the kind of thing that it's like Sergio Aragonis and his little margin drawings in Mad Magazine.
Yep.
You know, it'd be something like that. So I always thought that would be a blast, but they haven't taken us up on it yet. So.
Well, as you know, never say never, right?
That's right.
It can always happen.
And it's exactly what I say. I never say never. It could still happen. Who knows?
Very cool. Townsend, as we wind down the interview here, again, for folks who may want to follow your work or follow your social media or whatever websites you might have, what are those for folks who may be wanting to follow you?
Well, dude, you're going to be sadly disappointed here.
Okay.
I am totally not really into social media. In fact, I've tried to wean myself off of it mostly. Sure. But I do have a Facebook page, and I haven't posted in a while, so there are. Fans are certainly welcome to check it out and to request to be a friend, and look at back, stuff
Sure.
that I used to post. And I'm on Instagram, about the same amount. No Twitter, no TikTok for me, none of that stuff. So, I'm just, listen, I'm a 66-year-old teenage voice actor, and a grandfather of 6 great grandkids and 4 great kids, and I like things just the way they are, but I don't need to be stirred up too much, with the whole social media thing. So it keeps my mind and my soul a little bit healthier.
I don't blame you there. I totally understand it. So, okay. Well, I just wanted to make sure in case people start, sending requests to some Townsend Coleman that is definitely not you. So I just wanted to verify that.
No, it's me. I don't think there. Well, I don't know. There might be spoof pages out there. To be honest, I haven't checked. And but that's it. So I've got a Facebook page, Instagram, and that's it. All right. Well, and I'll just mention that on Sunday afternoon, Ben Edlund, again the creator of the Tick, is putting together this really fascinating thing that we're going to be doing online. And I'm afraid I can't just off the top of my head tell you how folks can find it. I guess maybe they'll just have to do a Google search. But we're going to be he's getting together all 3 voice actors, not just voice actors, but actors who have played the Tick. So there's going to be me and Patrick Warburton and Peter Serafinowicz, who played the Tick in the Amazon Prime version, as well as a slew of other actors. Griffin Newman's going to be there. He was Arthur in the Amazon Prime one. I couldn't tell you who else is going to be there from the live-action versions, but I know that Rob Paulson is going to be there. Cam Clark hopefully will be there. Jim Cummings is going to be there. And Mickey Dolenz, who was the original Arthur on our animated version, is going to be there as well. And they're digging up some old scripts that have not ever been produced, I think. And they're going to be doling out parts, and we're going to be doing some online reading, and it's a benefit for local food banks. Oh. So, and I think you got to purchase tickets to see it. But anyway, a little plug there for that thing coming up this Sunday, the 15th of November. Yeah.
Very cool, Townsend. Well, I'm glad you were able to put that out there. We'll make sure to put a special announcement up there too on our page too to let people know that you guys will be doing that.
Thanks, buddy.
Because we're on Facebook,
yeah,
so the show goes out anywhere and everywhere. It doesn't just have to be where we're currently situated. It goes out everywhere. So we will definitely look into that.
All right.
So Townsend, again, thank you so much for taking time to talk with us today. It's always a pleasure for me to be able to talk to the guys who help make my childhood fun and exciting, and this is a real shot in the arm for me. I love talking to guys like you and Rob and Cam and Barry, all you guys. You guys hold a special place in my childhood, and I appreciate that. And I'm glad that I'm able to pass it along to my son now, who's starting to get into it. So again, it's a privilege and an honor for me to be able to talk with you today.
Well, dude, it's like totally my honor, really. And you make sure you give your son, what's his name?
Sammy.
Sammy, you give Sammy a turtle high 3 from me, from Michelangelo, okay?
Definitely, for sure.
All right, dude, and you've been most excellent. Totally bodacious. And all I can say is, Cowabunga!
Awesome. Oh, man, I think that probably took him out. But anyway, all right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. When we come back, we'll wind up the show here. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hey, guys, this is Raphael of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And when I'm not out kicking Shredder's butt, I listen to Time Out with T-Rex because it's the best way to enjoy a hot fudge marshmallow tuna fish and Doritos pizza. Turtle power!
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles will return after these messages.
I got it! Wow!
Here it is, the USS Flag aircraft carrier. Imagine being on the deck of this aircraft carrier.
The USS Flag is fantastic! It's so big! Forward back, middle launch station! Get ready to launch aircraft! Where's the Admiral? Not here! G.I. Joe! Fire! Restart Cobra! Joe!
USS Flag aircraft carrier comes with what you see here. Other figures and equipment sold separately.
Joe!
To stop the evil Doomsday, you need a hero who's more than a man. He's been called the greatest, the strongest, the first among heroes. High-voltage villain Conduit is powered by kryptonite, but with krypton cannon blasting, Laser Superman powers him down. Conduit will learn, don't mess with the S. It's the dreaded Doomsday, the most fearsome force in the universe. Even Doomsday will learn, you don't mess with the S. Superman figures each sold separately, blocks not included.
This summer, coming to a supermarket near you, there's going to be a great new high-C flavor with an outrageous fruit taste. And what are we going to call it? Ecto Cooler. High-C Ecto Cooler. Slimer's new fruit drink. You've been warned.
We now return to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Hey guys, welcome back from that commercial break. I'm glad you guys are joining us. Special thanks goes out to Tim Perry for being kind enough to let us come out to his shop at Ye Olde House of Toys. Remember, you can catch him on Facebook. He's got plenty of cool posts that he puts up of specialties he's got for the coming weekend, whether it's wrestling, whether it's DC, Star Wars, whatever. He's got your needs pretty much up and down the board. So please, by all means, check him out. You would not be disappointed. I can guarantee you that. And it's always fun shooting on location. Haven't done that in a while, and hopefully you guys enjoyed it. We're tweaking with some equipment, so it might have to make some adjustments for next time. Consider that a trial run. Any feedback you guys provide is good. Even if it may seem harsh, it's okay. Any feedback helps us make the show better, bottom line. So again, if it didn't meet or you kind of strained to see something, apologize. We will work on adjusting it for next time if that's how you guys are taking it. Alright, that being said, I've got one story I want to wrap up our show with, which has got me a bit peeved, to say it nicely. For those who know, the Flash movie debuted just within the last week or so, maybe 2 weeks now, I suppose you would say. And it is bombing financially. It might be in the top 5 right now, but it is bombing financially. So much so that Warner Brothers or Warner Discovery is doing one of these situations because it's definitely not meeting the standards or expectations that a lot of fans were somewhat hopeful for. Now, I could go on a couple of tangents here and point my finger at Ezra Miller and all the trouble Ezra got into going into the Flash. Certainly I can't rule out that legal stuff going on with Ezra. Clearly that's going to play a role here. But we're going to put that aside and look at the film as a whole and some of the complaints or concerns, which will also dovetail back into my original position here. Alright, so first and foremost, it's no secret at this point, there are a lot of DC cameos that are done in this film. Some are live, meaning actual actors from various DC movies and projects, while many others were done by AI /CGI. And a lot of people are a bit miffed about the quality. It looked too animated or too CG to look decent. I've never been one to criticize for a lot of reasons on that aspect. Because, for one, especially if the actor is no longer with us, what do you expect to do? Yes, you can try to come up with some nice looking CG that looks almost like real life flesh and skin tone and everything, but clearly it's going to be CG to its core. Unless you're able to somehow do what they did in Ghostbusters Afterlife, where they had a physical actor that they had as a base to play Egon Spengler, or Harold Ramis's character. They had an actual actor, same size, same build, same height, and all they did was basically build a CG face over that individual and created a Egon of 2021, I believe is when that came out. Excuse me. So that's one option. However, because the amount of cameos that they were planning on putting in this film, you can't do that. That's a lot of effort. I mean, it is a lot of effort. It's a lot of money to go that route, to find someone of, there's no secret, Christopher Reeves, who clearly has passed on. So to find someone of his height, same kind of body build from the 70s, and use that as basically a roadmap to create a updated version of Superman to do in this briefest of cameos, it might be a little bit of a stretch, and probably from a financial executive standpoint, they're going to be like, no, just CGI something in. It might be cheesy, it's probably not going to make the fans happy, but financially speaking, it's the best that we can do given the situation. I guess is how they would probably interpret it, because a lot of fans, and this isn't the first time this technology has been played with, obviously, right? The Mandalorian, we had a Luke Skywalker, had a physical actor that they went back and CG'd a Luke Skywalker face on, and initially people weren't thrilled with the quality at first. Then in the Book of Boba Fett, where they did an updated version, repolished a few angles on the CGI, and it looked a lot better. But clearly this was not going to be a briefest of scenes, because Luke Skywalker was going to have dialogue with Ahsoka, he's going to have dialogue with Grogu, so it was going to be a more involved project than simply having Christopher Reeve fly down onto a building and look into this opening in the multiverse. Like I said, briefest of cameos, so obviously Warner Discovery are like, let's just keep it physically responsible and not go overboard. There's no need to do that. That's one issue people are having with the quality of the CG on certain characters, that it was just ridiculous and horrible. I'm defending that on Warner Brothers' part, because you got to understand the investment of the money going into this project was already high, and you're adding more to the bill just to please the fans, and I understand that is a very difficult balancing act. They did the best they could. People don't like the quality, I get it, but it is what it is. At least there was a cameo appearance from Christopher Reeve's Superman. So that was one issue that people had. Others, there was a lot of other cameos that were cut out due to, again, cost, timing, editing, all that jazz. Then, of course, we're talking about the multiple deleted ending scenes. Of course, the one we got in theaters, a lot of fans are not thrilled about, because of the Bruce Wayne that the Flash Barry Allen comes across at the end is not the Bruce Wayne many would have preferred. Obviously, there was a lot of people rooting for Christian Bale, clearly, possibly Keaton, who was already debuted in the film, and just thought that he would be able to manage to wiggle his way in. Again, Affleck as well, but you got to understand the whole premise of this Flash movie was to be the official reset button for the entire DCEU, which means Affleck's Batman is done. He's probably not coming back anytime soon, unless it's another kind of multiversal situation. Since that's not going to probably be the case, he's done. So Affleck could not have done it. George Clooney obviously was the one they went with, and people, even to this day, have a very mixed love-hate reaction to Batman and Robin. A lot of people are supportive of it. A lot of others are insulted to even hear it mentioned on TV, movies, anywhere. It was it's an insult felt around the world to bring that up. Even George Clooney himself has admitted that as well. So again, that circles back to our original situation. Is that the best option they could have done with? Maybe it was done as a gag or a goof to the fans. It's possible. Is it the choice that I would have made in that situation? I honestly would have pulled for either Bale or Keaton to make their appearance at the end of the movie. In fact, Michael Keaton was originally going to be the ending they shot with him was originally what they were going to run with, but then they switched gears and did a fake out, so to speak, and changed the ending up again and went with this current ending, which a lot of people are not thrilled about. Alright, so those are just a few things. I know there's a lot more. There's obviously a lot more to the movie. I'm just highlighting some of the stuff that I personally have seen and heard through fans on TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you guys do social media. These are the common denominators that a lot of people have been speaking their minds about. That aside, now the one issue that I have personal grievance with and that I am upset about the most. Recently, Kevin Smith on his podcast, Fat Man Begins, by the way, I think that's the name of it. It's his gag. It's a funny name, Kevin Smith. Anyway, he recently revealed that he was in touch with one of the producer's sons, I believe Michael Uslan, I might have pronounced that wrong, I apologize, who was basically watching the domestic numbers of the Flash movie. Why would he do such a thing? Well, a couple of reasons. One, to see how financially the movie is going to do. You're talking about going up against Transformers. You're going up against Spider-Man across or into the Spider-Verse. You're going up against some heavy hitters in your weekend that you're coming out in theaters. So you're already up against some stiff competition. So that's numero uno, how you're going to fare against the competition. Number two, sequels, spinoffs, etc., 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 apparently were on the line as well. One in particular, Batman Beyond. Yes. In this interview that Kevin Smith recently done, it's over TikTok, YouTube. You can just simply Google search it, you'll find it. Basically, Kevin Smith was told that because of the financial pitfall that the Flash is currently making, which is that it is flopping big time financially speaking, that it is going to hinder and thus eliminate any hopes that we might have had to have a Batman Beyond live action film done. James Gunn and Peter Safran have not openly said anything that this was not that it's not going to happen. But based on that conversation Kevin Smith had, it's rather apparent that the odds of that live-action Batman, because of how bad this movie is tanking, is likely not going to happen. Which aggravates the snot out of me for a couple of reasons. One, they were going to have Michael Keaton return as Old Man Bruce, and I don't know who they were going to have play Terry McGinnis. There was a lot of names that were being thrown around. But that's all out the window now. It's looking like it's done. Unless the fans create another movement to adamantly push for this film to be made, it's hard to say what's going to happen. It seems to me, from your old T-Rex's perspective, that this Flash movie had only one purpose: reset the DCEU, or the DCU, however you want to call it. That was its sole purpose. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean the quality of the film was going to be super fantastic and mind-blowing and gut-wrenching and soul-stirring? No. It was designed to be a reset button. And when you do a reset movie, it doesn't, in their mind, it probably didn't matter what kind of quality movie. As long as it was decent enough to sell that reset, they didn't care. As long as they did the reset, mission accomplished, which is what James Gunn and Peter Safran wanted. They wanted that reset, so now they've got a completely fresh slate to start doing other films, their other projects, Superman Legacy, Brave and the Bold Batman, all that stuff, and completely reset the DC movies. That's all this movie served. Now, are there any guarantees that Ezra Miller is returning as the Flash? No. There's no guarantees that he will be, or that Ezra Miller will be back as the Flash. None. That's still up in the air. Given Ezra's legal issues, don't be surprised that Ezra does not get asked to return. Ezra's become a bit of a liability, and clearly, according to Warner Discovery, and as they were nervous about originally canceling the Flash movie because of everything that Ezra was going through. Ezra's got a lot of legal issues. It's no secret. I'm not going to dive into those issues. All you got to do is Google search it, and you'll find it. So, liabilities go, Ezra's probably going to be out. They're going to want there will be a recast for sure. I would not doubt that in the least. So now we're talking about totally either doing a new Barry Allen or Wally West or Bart Allen, which is another version or another character in the Flash family. All of those are potential possibilities. But like I said, what devastates me the most is the fact that clearly James Gunn and Peter Safran had a Batman Beyond hopes, aspirations that was going to come to fruition, and because of the disaster that is the Flash movie as of right now, financially speaking. And for those who like it, don't hate. If you like the Flash movie and you thought it paid great homage to the DC heroes of the past, and it brought a tear to your eye and it just felt good to watch, mazel tov, good for you. I'm happy for you. But for those of us who had a little bit more beef in the game beyond that, such as Batman Beyond being a potential movie from this, and now it's been dashed to nothing, it's devastating. A lot of fans have a very strong love connection with Batman Beyond, and for us not to be able to get that is very heartbreaking. Is it the end of the world? No. Can things change in the next 10, 15 years? Sure. James Gunn and Peter Safran may move on and hand the reins off to somebody else. Just look at what happened with Indiana Jones. George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were both firmly attached to it. For whatever reason, they had some issues. They handed it off to James Mangold. Same thing can happen with the DC universe. James Gunn and Peter Safran can be like, you know what? It's not working. We tried. We're out. So they bail ship, or they hand the reins off to some other producer to see if they can handle it. Who knows? Anything is possible. We've seen it happen with a lot of other franchises as well. A lot of producers that we were in love with, who did a great job of representing these characters, hand the reins off to somebody else, and they either do it better or they don't do so hot. Another prime example, J.J. Abrams with the Star Trek movies, as well as Star Wars. Star Wars started out pretty decent, this most recent trilogy, and then it just went downhill from there. It happens. So at this time, Batman Beyond not going to happen. Sucks, but it is what it is. Does that mean that in another few years from now that can change? Absolutely it can. So I'm still going to hold out some hope that somewhere down the line we'll get some momentum going and things will change and we will get that live action Batman Beyond, because it just opens the doorway to a lot of cool things. Especially you talk about the DC universe of films. Not only are you dealing with what's happening in the present, but now you've got something that's in the future and how those can actually interconnect. Because we've seen several stories over the years where Batman Beyond has traveled back in time to alter the future in some form or fashion. So there could be easily crossovers in that regard. Plus a future Justice League in the future. How does that look? All that stuff can be a major factor in what many of us would like to see happen. So until then, guys, we're just going to have to keep saying our prayers and holding out our hopes, and hopefully one day this will all turn out and we'll see a live action somewhere, somehow. That being said, guys, again, thank you for tuning into this week's show. Sorry if that last segment went a little long. I had to get it off my chest. It was killing me that the Flash movie just has done us wrong this way as a byproduct. It is what it is. That's the name of the game. Guys, don't forget to head to check out our sponsors. That is Yield House of Toys. That's Tim Perry. He is open on Saturday and Sundays at his shop in Maryville. Please get over there, check him out. If you want to see some of his merchandise and wares, jump on his Facebook page. He puts it up there all the time. Any special deals? Check him out there. He covers everything from DC, Marvel, Star Trek, Star Wars, Transformers, G.I. Joe, wrestling action figures, and everything in between. Doctor Who. Bunch of other stuff that's out there that you guys might be into. So till then, guys, I just want to tell you that you're only renting the space on this rock they call Earth, so keep relaxing, Always swing as hard as you can, and always, always, always don't forget to keep saying them prayers. They're very important these days. And until next time, guys, I'm Tim T-Rex Saldana, and I'm out of here.